Intermittent fasting has become one of the most popular health and wellness trends of the last decade. From Silicon Valley biohackers to fitness influencers on social media, the promise of sharper focus, faster fat loss, and better overall health has drawn millions of people into experimenting with eating within strict time windows. At first glance, the logic is simple. By compressing your meals into a smaller eating window, sometimes as short as 4 to 6 hours per day, you give your body more time to rest, repair, and burn fat. Supporters often point to animal studies and early human trials that suggest benefits ranging from improved blood sugar control to longevity. But here's the catch: not all fasting windows are created equal. While moderate time-restricted eating, such as 10 to 12 hours, may provide benefits with relatively low risk, super strict fasting windows, where eating is limited to very short periods each day, can carry hidden downsides that rarely make it into Instagram Reels or wellness podcasts. In this article, we'll uncover the lesser-known risks of these ultra-strict fasting practices, what recent research actually says, how your body responds to extreme restriction, and why shorter isn't always better when it comes to fasting. Over the last few years, a wave of studies has started to challenge the idea that the shorter the eating window, the better. While intermittent fasting in general can have health benefits, the data on super strict windows, usually 8 hours or less, is far more complicated. One of the most eye-opening findings came from a large U.S. study analyzing dietary patterns of more than 20,000 adults. Researchers found that people who limited their eating to fewer than 8 hours per day had a 91% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who ate over a more moderate 12 to 16-hour period. While the study was observational, meaning it can't prove cause and effect, the association was strong enough to raise concerns in the medical community. Other research suggests similar trends. For people already living with heart disease, eating within an 8 to 10-hour window was linked to worse outcomes compared to more balanced schedules. Strict fasting may also be harder on older adults who risk losing muscle mass or not meeting nutritional needs within such a limited time frame. Even in younger, healthy populations, very short eating windows have sometimes been linked to hormonal imbalances, sleep disruption, and energy crashes. Of course, not every study agrees. Some small clinical trials report weight loss and improved insulin sensitivity with shorter eating windows. But these studies are often short-term, involve small groups, and don't always track participants long enough to see the potential long-term consequences. The bottom line: while moderate fasting can be beneficial, the evidence around super strict fasting windows paints a far more concerning picture than the glossy before and after photos suggest. When people experiment with extremely short eating windows, the first changes they notice aren't always positive. While some enjoy the sense of discipline or quick weight loss, many hidden side effects can gradually creep in. Let's look at the most common ones. 1. Energy crashes and fatigue. Long stretches without food can lead to dips in blood sugar, leaving you lightheaded, irritable, or mentally foggy. For those with demanding jobs, workouts, or busy family schedules, this constant roller coaster can make fasting less sustainable and, in some cases, unsafe. 2. Sleep disruption and circadian rhythm issues. Our bodies thrive on rhythm. Eating late at night or forcing all meals into an unnatural schedule can throw off circadian cycles. This may lead to restless sleep, poor recovery, and even long-term metabolic issues. Ironically, the very habit that's supposed to optimize health can end up undermining one of the pillars of well-being: restorative sleep. 3. Muscle loss and slower metabolism. In older adults or those not consuming enough protein within the restricted window, super strict fasting can accelerate muscle breakdown. Over time, this may slow metabolism and make it harder to maintain weight loss, especially when combined with reduced physical activity from fatigue. 4. Nutrient deficiencies. Packing all daily calories into a 4 to 6 hour eating window often means rushing through meals or skipping entire food groups. This raises the risk of missing out on essential vitamins, minerals, and fiber, nutrients that play crucial roles in long-term health, from bone density to immune resilience. 5. Risks for vulnerable groups. Certain groups face heightened dangers with extreme fasting. People with diabetes or blood sugar disorders risk of hypoglycemia. Heart patients' potential for worsened outcomes, as suggested by recent studies. Women, some evidence shows hormonal imbalance, missed menstrual cycles, or thyroid issues. Those prone to disordered eating rigid windows can reinforce unhealthy patterns and guilt around food. In short, what begins as a trendy discipline can easily tip into a cycle of exhaustion, nutritional gaps, and health risks if pushed too far. The science of intermittent fasting is anything but settled. While some headlines warn of cardiovascular risks, others tout dramatic weight loss, lower blood pressure, and improved insulin sensitivity. So, why does the evidence seem so contradictory? 1. The problem of study design. Most large studies on fasting rely on self-reported data, where participants recall when and what they ate. These surveys are prone to errors. People often underestimate snacking or forget meal times. This makes it difficult to know whether health outcomes are truly caused by fasting or by other lifestyle factors. 2. Short-term versus long-term effects. Many clinical trials showing benefits of time-restricted eating last just a few weeks or months. In the short term, participants may indeed lose weight and improve metabolic markers. But very few studies follow people for years to see if strict fasting remains safe and effective. What looks like a win in 12 weeks could reveal drawbacks after 5 or 10 years. 3. Lifestyle confounders. People who choose extreme fasting windows might differ in other ways. They may be under chronic stress. They might skip meals due to long work hours rather than health goals. They could be neglecting diet quality, squeezing in fast food instead of balanced meals. Any of these factors could contribute to higher risks of heart disease or early mortality, making it unclear whether the fasting itself is the culprit. 4. A nuanced reality. What's becoming increasingly clear is that context matters. A 6-hour eating window may be sustainable and safe for a young, healthy person with excellent dietary habits. For someone older with medical conditions or nutrient needs, the same regimen could be harmful. In other words, intermittent fasting isn't a one-size-fits-all strategy, and the research reflects that complexity. If you're interested in experimenting with intermittent fasting, the good news is that you don't have to choose between all-or-nothing extremes. By approaching fasting thoughtfully, you can capture potential benefits while avoiding many of the hidden risks. Here are some practical strategies. 1. Start gradually. Instead of diving straight into a 4 to 6 hour window, begin with something more moderate, say 10 to 12 hours. This still gives your body time to rest and repair without putting you at risk of nutrient deficiencies or severe fatigue. 2. Prioritize food quality. A strict eating schedule won't make up for poor dietary choices. Focus on balanced meals that include lean protein for muscle preservation, colorful vegetables and fruits for vitamins and antioxidants, whole grains for steady energy, healthy fats for brain and heart support. Cramming fast food into a short eating window defeats the purpose. 3. Align eating with daylight. Your body's circadian rhythm works best when eating happens during daylight hours. If possible, finish your meals earlier in the evening to support better sleep, digestion, and hormone regulation. 4. Stay hydrated. Long fasting periods can lead to dehydration, which worsens fatigue and concentration problems. Drink water consistently throughout the day, even during fasting hours. 5. Listen to your body. Watch for warning signs, persistent tiredness, mood swings, sleep issues, or missed menstrual cycles for women. These are signals that your fasting plan may be too extreme. 6. Consult a professional if needed. If you have existing health conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease, or thyroid issues, or if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, or elderly, always consult a healthcare provider before adopting strict fasting patterns. By taking a measured, flexible approach, you can reap the benefits of fasting without falling into the trap of believing shorter is always better. Despite the risks, there are a few contexts where stricter fasting windows may play a role, provided they're applied thoughtfully and under proper guidance. 1. Short-term interventions. Some researchers use super strict fasting in short clinical studies to kickstart weight loss or improve markers like insulin sensitivity. In these cases, fasting isn't meant to be a permanent lifestyle, but rather a temporary reset. 2. Metabolic disorders. For individuals with specific metabolic issues, such as prediabetes or insulin resistance, tight fasting windows can sometimes help improve blood sugar control. However, these interventions should always be monitored by medical professionals to avoid dangerous drops in glucose levels. 3. Highly controlled environments. Athletes, biohackers, or individuals working with nutritionists may benefit from experimenting with shorter eating windows as part of a structured plan. But here, success depends on careful attention to nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle balance, something most people can't realistically maintain long-term. 4. Personal preference. Some people genuinely feel better eating in a shorter window. They may enjoy the simplicity of fewer meals, or find that it helps them avoid mindless snacking. For these individuals, strict fasting can be sustainable, but only if they're still meeting their nutritional needs and not ignoring warning signs from their bodies. The key takeaway: strict fasting windows may have a place, but they are tools, not default solutions. They should be used selectively, not adopted blindly, because they're trending on social media. Super strict fasting windows can look appealing. They promise discipline, efficiency, and fast results. But when we peel back the glossy marketing and take a closer look at the research, a more complicated picture emerges. While moderate time-restricted eating, 10 to 12 hours, may support weight management, blood sugar balance, and overall health, ultra-short eating windows often bring hidden risks, ranging from nutrient deficiencies and fatigue to disrupted sleep, muscle loss, and even higher rates of cardiovascular mortality in some populations. The truth is that fasting is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Context matters. Your age, health status, daily routine, and even your relationship with food all influence whether fasting will help or harm. So instead of chasing extremes, the smarter approach is balance. Choose a fasting window that feels sustainable. Prioritize food quality over rigid timing. Respect your body's signals. And when in doubt, seek professional guidance. In the end, health is not about punishing the body into submission. It's about creating rhythms that support energy, longevity, and joy. Fasting can be part of that story, but only if it's done with care, moderation, and self-awareness.